You're listening to Enlivening Musings, a podcast to enhance your life so you live fully alive. Sponsored by the Pleasure Fairy app. Download it for more support. Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal, and I'm continuing the Erratically Love You mini-series here. And I believe this is going to be our last episode. I'm going to see kind of what arises after this is out in the world, if more is needed for this. But I'm going to hope that everything rounds out really nicely here. And, we've covered what does it mean to radically love yourself, self-love, loving actions, being your very own best lover, knowing your love language. And today, what I feel is really important is resonance. When we can tune into the actual frequency, the resonance, the deep feeling, the embodied feeling of what we desire, it just makes everything else easier. And it's a nice, almost like a tuning fork that we can just hit and go back to that frequency with much more ease. It's kind of like knowing our center, our core, our essence, and being able to just tune into that with so much more ease. So all of that external stuff can fade away a bit. Of course, all of this leads into being able to have our nervous system finely tuned so that we can get to that calm, cool, collected, or at least manageable, I can handle life state. But let's focus on the resonance. So what does that feel like for you when you feel so much love? And I want to think about, how does it feel when somebody else loves you and you can truly receive it? This might be a type of episode to take time and pause and write all these questions down and then go and do the integration of it. Go and do the practice. Go and answer the questions. Be with them. Play with them. See what unfolds. It might be a multiple day process, okay? So how do you feel when somebody else is loving you and you can actually receive that? How does that feel for you? What happens for you? And I don't want to give any sort of answers here either. I want this to be of you, okay? But think about that feeling. And we're not going into so much excitement about it, where the energy leaves your body. I will give you that clue. We're not going into straight excitement. So if you're just starting to date somebody, or you're starting to feel like you're falling in love or any of that, where you have this excitement where it leaves your body, I'm talking about the deep love where you can feel it inside of you, where it circulates, okay? So I'm giving you some clues here. Okay. Along with that, how do you act when you feel like you're loved? How are you acting when you're out in the world? What does that feel like? What does that look like? And now tied into some of this, are some of these things where you take better care of yourself? Sometimes that could be yes, sometimes that's no. If you're thinking about this in terms of a new relationship, sometimes we put our self-care on the wayside, right? Which is why I want to keep coming back to when it feels like a true love frequency. Sometimes it might even just be going to a parental love or a friendship love, because a lot of times those types will be more supportive of how you take care of yourself when you're feeling that love. All right. But now we can still play with this again, kind of play with, if it's somebody who's just starting to, admire you and shower you with love, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself when somebody is expressing their love for you? How do you see yourself when you're feeling wholly loved? And now when you're doing that, and this is where I love utilizing some of the mirror work too, we can shift our own eyes to see ourselves that way. there's a song. Is it Ariana Grande? There's a song and she says something about like, I wish I could love me the way you do or see me the way you do or something like that. And maybe I'll go find it and put it in the show notes or something. But it's kind of interesting to think about how do you feel another person views you when they're just totally loving you? And can you shift your own eyes and view to that view? And the biggest practice within all of this is to just find that frequency. Find that resonance. How does that feel? And really tune into that. And spend time doing that, even if it's just a couple minutes. Maybe it's a couple minutes multiple times a day. Maybe you're able to do it for like a longer period of time. Whatever works for you. But this whole thing is all about tuning into that resonance over and over again until it becomes more natural, which feels embodied. All right, of course, you can reach me on the Pleasure Fairy app, or you can find me on Instagram at the Crystal Franco. You can just hop into Radically Love You, the experience, which is on the Pleasure Fairy app or crystalpleasurefairy.com. And I look forward to watching you unfold and shower yourself with the waterfalls of radical self-love. All right, bye. Mwah. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like more support, hop on the Pleasure Fairy app or find Katie at wellnesswithkatie.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Enlivening Musings if you want to share some takeaways or other requests for future shows. Enjoy.